Noise.
Mhm.
What is that weird noise? All right. Oh, Brian. What? Brian, you're here. You're muted. Tucker, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, Brian is unhearable, but he's visible. I'll do this. Can we hear Ken? We can't hear Ken either.
He's on mute.
No, I know.
We're in the same office.
Yeah, Brian's got an audio problem.
I thought he was not attending, but he is. Okay.
Change in schedule, last minute change in schedule.
All right. Well, all good.
So I was handing the chair back to him, but now I may have to take it back. Give him a minute.
I didn't send him the script though. Let me quickly forward it.
I have it.
I can forward it to him too in case he does actually get on properly. Let's see.
We hadn't actually discussed whether I was going to still chair this meeting or not. I was assuming he was going to do it.
Can I be heard now?
You are heard.
Yeah.
Here, Brian, let me send you the script, okay? I had sent it to Brooke thinking you were not going to be here, but let me just quickly.
If it's the same as the last one, I have it up.
It is, except a few different.
Okay, standing by.
It'll take me a second, so just give me a second. Window. Where are you?
Oh, the speakers, yeah.
You know, it's not critical, but all right. Sullivan, there we go. Okay.
How's
right,
everybody?
That should be in your inbox, Brian.
And here it is. Great. Thank you, Brooke, for asking. Okay, everyone, thank you for your patience. As a preliminary matter, this is Brian Sullivan, the chair of the Nantucket Affordable Housing Trust. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Penny Dye.
Yes.
Christy Ferrantella.
Here.
David Iverson.
Yes.
Rima Sherry.
Aye.
Allison Mitchell.
Aye.
Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Tucker Holland.
Aye.
Ken Bogrand.
Yes.
And Eleanor Antonetti.
Present.
Anticipated and potential.
Just as a matter of record, I'm here too. Brooke Moore.
Oh, that's why
No.
she didn't have you on the list, because you were reading Brooke. Thank you.
But Dave doesn't have his crazy background today, so what's going on with that?
Yeah, I got my ugly office. It's a little scary, isn't it? Now you know why I have a background.
Now we see how the sausage is made.
Oh, it's not pretty.
Anticipated and potential speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. Ann Kuspa? Not here yet. Andrew
I don't
Burke?
think she's coming. I got an automated response. I think she's on vacation, but since she almost always does come, I had put her on the list.
Okay. And Jerry Keneally. Okay, I see Ruth, forgive me, Tonkio?
And Tonico, right?
Tony.
Do we anticipate Ruth as a potential speaker?
Yes, she's got the CCAP application.
Great. And Ruth, you can hear us?
Yes, I hear you guys.
Okay, great. Thank you for attending.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
Awesome. So as an introduction to the remote meeting, good afternoon. This is an open meeting of the Nantucket Affordable Housing Trust is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to an outbreak of COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we've been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly physical location, accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with the agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature a public Zoom comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. For this meeting, the Nantucket Affordable Housing Trust is convening by video conference via the Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded, that all of the attendees participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer or anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All the supporting materials have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I, the chair, notes otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda, but before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules effective for clear conduct of our business to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I, the chair, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your microphone or your computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the floor is yielded to you and state your name before speaking. If the members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. Items that have public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public who have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote is taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. Thank you for your patience as I work through that. Hopefully one day soon we won't be doing it that way. So we will now move to the agenda. I'd look for a motion to approve the agenda as written.
So moved.
Second.
Dave Iverson, second. Vote by roll call. Allison Mitchell.
Wait, who made that motion?
Penny
I did.
made the motion. Dave made the second.
Thank you. You know what would be great if you can do that for me because I'm looking at two screens. So you've been good about doing that, Brian, but just repeat who makes the motion so I don't have to.
No problem.
Thank you.
By roll, Allison Mitchell,
Yes.
Penny Dye,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
Christy Ferrantella,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
and Rima Sherry.
Aye.
Great. Moving on to item number 2, the approval of the minutes. Are there any for the meeting of July, our last meeting, July 21st, 2020? Were there any comments, thoughts, edits to the minutes? Seeing no
Move to-
activity.
Move to approve?
Second.
That was Brooke with the motion, Dave with the second. By roll, Allison Mitchell,
Aye.
Penny Dye,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
Christy Ferrantella,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
and Rima Sherry.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 4, we're at the time of year for annual election of officers. I don't know whether I put this out to volunteers or nominations, and maybe we start with first the vice chair seat. At this time, we only have 2 elected officers. Tucker, are we at a place on this board that we should be looking for other positions? Oh, Penny.
I just have a question. Do the existing officers, no, are the existing officers willing to stay on?
Brooke is shaking her head yes, and I will vocalize mine yes, I would be willing as well.
Well, may I make a motion?
Second.
So,
Would anyone
Quit.
else, would anyone else like to serve?
yes, can we open the floor up to anyone who would like the opportunity, or before Penny, you make your motion? Seeing none, I will now have Penny make her motion.
I'll make a motion that for the next year, Brian Sullivan continues as chair and Brooke Moore as a vice chair of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Yeah, you can just say confirm the existing slate of officers, but it's all good.
Perfect. That's what I said.
Nice and short.
I'll second that, but we shouldn't limit it to a year. I think in perpetuity.
A
Very-
life sentence?
Very flattering, thank you. By roll, Allison Mitchell,
Aye.
Penny Dye,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
Christy Ferrantella,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Rima Sherry,
Aye.
and Brian Sullivan, aye. Thank you for that vote of confidence. I super appreciate it, and let's keep moving.
Me too.
Um,
Thank you.
We have an application for closing cost assistance program. Item number 5 for 11 Marble Way. Shall we turn to that application? Forgive me, I don't have it up on my screen.
Brooke, do you want to recuse?
So I spoke to Tucker about this. I guess it's 6 to 1, half dozen the other. I have no financial interest in this transaction, but I am, the property is being sold by my stepdaughter.
I think it's honestly better, given the very short degree of separation, that you do recuse.
Okay.
I
so
mean, you are disclosing, that's true, but given the proximity,
Okay, that's fine. So
We have
will
a full group. There's no reason not to.
Yeah. So I'll just,
So for the application, Tucker, can we confirm the application's complete in all of its parts? And
I can,
Yes,
I can confirm that. Sorry, Tucker.
Go ahead.
thank you, Eleanor.
I just because it's been coming to me. Ruth has been very, very good about getting me everything. And when she couldn't get it quickly, she figured out a way, and we work with the bank. So we do have everything we need, and we're on track.
Great. And this is Ruth's application. Ruth, would you like to address the board?
Sure. I don't know what I should say, but my name is Ruth Tonico. I'm very happy to be here. I am applying for the assistance because I really need it. And I'm hoping that my husband and I are approved. We really like the house. We're purchasing the house because currently where we live at is a 1-bedroom rental apartment. Many of you guys probably saw me on the website of Housing Nantucket. They put us up as essential workers. I work at the hospital. My husband work at the gas station, and the 1-bedroom apartment that we live with, the Housing Nantucket, we cannot have any children, and we really want to have triplets. And
Whoa.
Be careful what you wish for. You got someone with twins on this site.
everyone thinks that we're crazy, but it's a dream of ours to be parents one day. And the one bedroom we have, we cannot have children, and we can't even have a doggy, and we are dog lovers. So it is our very utmost dream to be able to get into this home with your assistance for the closing, because it will really do a big help. We work very hard, even with overtime. The closing costs can be pretty pricey for middle class, hardworking, essential workers and frontline workers like us.
Awesome. Thank you, Ruth. It's really nice to meet you and hear some of your story. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Do any board members have any questions about the application or anywhere in the process?
Move to approve.
Seeing none, great. Christy has made a motion to approve the application. Generally, Dave has seconded. Just for a little bit more detail, we'll approve up to $15,000 worth of closing cost assistance with any balance remaining to be returned. By roll call, Allison Mitchell,
Aye.
Penny Dye,
I,
Christy Ferrantella,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye. Oh,
Rima Sherry,
oh no.
Aye.
and Brian Sullivan, aye. Ruth, congratulations. Please come back to us and let us know when the triplets are coming.
Pictures. We need pictures.
Pictures, due dates, let us know.
And the dog, and the dog.
and we'll
Yeah,
give,
Ruth,
and we'll give her some suggestions for babysitters.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I've got a couple of those in the house.
Ruth, I can literally picture you in that house.
Yes. And I
Awesome.
thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
It's
Oh,
Awesome.
yay.
Ruth, don't feel like you need to stay on the call. We do appreciate you joining us. Thank you.
Makes it all worthwhile.
Okay.
100%.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna go to sleep now because
Okay.
I work nights and this is my 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, get some rest.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
I know.
It totally makes it worth it.
God damn, I'm crying.
So darn cute.
So let's move to the other
Eleanor,
side.
got Eleanor.
You're so adorable. Somebody get a screenshot of Eleanor right now.
Well, I spent a lot of time with her because she was worried she wasn't getting things, it can be overwhelming, as we know.
Thank you for helping her through it.
Yeah,
she's
no, she
wonderful.
sounds amazing.
Very sweet.
We'll move to item 6, the Covenant Formation Assistance Program. So basically, we kind of got along this process with getting things going, and Izzy Stover was the first applicant, and then COVID kind of came in and slowed down our process on some of the technicalities. So if I understand this correctly, Tucker, you're going to bring this back to kind of tighten some nuts and bolts today. Is that the plan?
Yeah, basically, this is the programmatic agreement that we had worked out back in February. It was reviewed by town council, was ready to go, and then COVID hit. And so we never took the formal step of finalizing the agreement with Housing Nantucket. So today it's just the ratification of what we had really already put into place.
And so are you, yes, Penny?
Sorry, I just have one question. On page 2, it says loans will not exceed $10,000. Is that contradictory to the up to 15,000?
This is different. This is closing.
Oh, this is the other, this is sellers. Sorry.
Yeah, this is create the lots versus the other one. We
I was
originally,
mixing it up.
originally we went to 15,000, but
I
we were
thought
advised
so.
that, the costs weren't going to be that high, so we brought it back down.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this? Allison, or Christy, do either, are you familiar with the program? Do we need to bring you up to speed?
I'm pretty familiar. It all makes
Okay,
sense to me.
great, okay. Tucker, what are you looking for? Are you looking for a motion? Are you looking for an approval? What are you?
Yeah, just a motion to approve the programmatic agreement with Housing Nantucket for the CFAP program.
Would
You want to
someone-
say final, since we already approved it? Final programmatic agreement?
Sure.
Brooke, I see you took the microphone.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second.
Christie seconded, and by roll, Allison Mitchell,
Aye.
Christy Ferrantella,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Rima Sherry,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
Penny Dye,
Aye.
and Brian Sullivan, aye. Sorry, I changed the order, but somebody dropped off and you all moved around on my screen. That moves us to the next item, item number 7, 175 AMI monitoring agreement at Richmond. Tucker, I will turn over you to elaborate kind of on where we were with the town and where we're headed with Richmond and the monitoring.
I just want to note that the formalization of the programmatic agreement for CFAP did not elicit nearly the emotional reaction from Eleanor as the prior item. Having noted that, yes, so this is going back a few years, actually. The select board had originally in its memorandum of agreement with Richmond regarding the project on Old South Road had indicated that they wanted to have a monitoring arrangement for the 175% AMI units that Richmond is including within that development. And DHCD, the Department of Housing and Community Development, does not monitor homes at that level. And so Richmond had said, we're fine with that arrangement being in place so long as we're not responsible for the expense of it. So what we have put together here is an agreement that is between Richmond, Housing Nantucket as the monitoring agent, and the town. And we may, I think ultimately we may be needing to add the trust to this agreement. But the way it is intended to work is Richmond has hired a qualified lottery agent to run the initial filling of these units. That agent's referred to as SEB. And they are really doing the heavy lifting on qualifying the buyers for these 175% units on the front end. So what we're doing, just for peace of mind, if you will, is saying, once they have selected a qualified buyer for a particular unit, that buyer would be high up on the lottery list. We're asking Housing Nantucket to effectively double check, certify that indeed that party meets the criteria. And for that service, we would be paying Housing Nantucket $500. So after that individual purchases that home, let's say 20 years down the line, they go to sell it, we would have, at that point, Housing Nantucket would take over the heavy lifting. SEB would not be in the picture at that point, and Housing Nantucket would work with the owner of the home to market and sell the property to a qualified buyer, in addition to qualifying folks who were applying to purchase that home. So the fee at the later point is noticeably higher. It would be 0.5% of the transaction price. So if you look at Richmond's initial pricing in the $875 range for these units, $875,000, the fee to Housing Nantucket would be roughly $4,000 and change. That fee actually is paid out of the transaction. So it is not an expense to the trust. The only expense as it is written is for this initial $500 per buyer. So this agreement has been looked at by town council, by Richmond, by Housing Nantucket. I think the select board would look to the trust to underwrite this $500 fee. And so today we would like to have the trust approve moving forward with this monitoring agreement. We understand that Richmond is now at the point where they do have some qualified parties for particular units and would like to have Housing Nantucket certify, if you will, those buyers. So happy to answer any questions.
Tucker, when you said the half a point, it's of the 875, it's a half a point would be the second turnover fee. So it could be as much as $4,300, right?
That's correct. At the second, and that's not paid by the trust.
Who would pay that fee?
There you go.
Well, in effect, the buyer is paying that fee.
Okay, so that comes out of the closing. Okay. And so then in seeing Dave's face there, like that potentially could be a closing cost that the buyer is paying that they could potentially apply through our closing cost assistance program. Is that?
In theory.
Okay. Thank you. Dave, you had your hand up?
Is there a reason why the buyer would pay it and we wouldn't have the seller pay it?
Well,
It's standard procedure this way with the 40Bs. That's how it works.
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
that's how Housing Nantucket does handle it today. You could end up with a circumstance where, somebody purchased a home and let's say they ended up in a particular market, not likely on Nantucket, but theoretically they could end up in a particular market where they were selling for less than they purchased it for, or approximately the same amount. And there might be a hardship situation that they would come to the trust about. But normally there is, Housing Nantucket's experience is that there is, reasonable proceeds where this would be a reasonable expense to put into the transaction.
And that would, like you mentioned, that could be part of the closing cost assistance
It could
amount.
be. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, my concern is, people scraping together. And
Yep.
At that point, $4,000's a lot when you got everything else going on. But
No,
okay.
it's a good point.
Penny, I see your hand.
Yeah, on the $500 certification fees for Richmond or Housing Nantucket, how many are there likely to be total?
Yeah, so likely there would be 9. There potentially could be a few more if someone is like qualified and then at the last minute drops out, and then there needs to be someone else done at that point. Yeah.
Thank you.
Brooke?
So I don't see any problem with this. I think it's a small investment in making sure that folks get into these units. On the part about closing cost assistance, we should probably make sure, maybe have an item next agenda to amend the closing cost assistance program to make sure that these fees are included or can be included in that closing cost assistance number, just as a thought.
If it's on the closing sheet, it can be included. The settlement agreement that has all that.
I think
I don't know
the program may stop at 150. It might not go to 175. I think that's what you're saying, Brooke, right?
Oh, right.
No, we already
We did
amended
add
the
one.
program. I don't know that I've seen this on a closing sheet. I don't know that anyone's ever asked.
Might be worth asking town council if that's the sort of thing that would end up on a settlement agreement, but I think it would. It's a fee.
Okay.
Yeah, housing Nantucket had said that, I mean, for instance, if someone had held a property for a bit of time and there was there was a $150,000 profit, that it might not be as required as it might be in other situations. So I think having, not necessarily prescribing it, but having some room for judgment, I think was what they were recommending.
Okay. Yes, Brooke?
I'm confused, Tucker, because if you're talking about it coming out of profit on it, then that would be paid by the seller, not by the buyer.
Well, yes, that's correct. But, it's like the land bank fee, I mean, it's a point of negotiation in the course of a transaction.
Got it.
I think, if I
Yes,
might,
Penny?
the way to think of this is as a closing cost, like the land bank fee borne by the buyer.
Unless otherwise negotiated in the transaction.
The buyer will, like in the land bank case, the buyer is responsible for paying the fee, but it is negotiated in effect in the price that they're paying the seller.
Sorry, I wouldn't really I would disagree with that, respectfully.
We may have different views, but that's fine.
So Tucker, so you're looking for an approval of this agreement at this point and for our commitment. Is that correct?
Yes. Hold on one second here. So Andrew Burek is just joining the discussion. Andrew is with Richmond in-house counsel. Andrew, can you hear us?
Thank you for the introduction, Tucker. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Great.
Tucker, do you just want to catch Andrew up quickly on what we've discussed so far?
Sure, Andrew. I don't know if you had been tuning into the discussion previously.
No, I just dialed in. I'm sorry, I was a little tardy to the meeting.
No problem. We're just going ahead with finalizing the monitoring agreement for the 175 unit, 175% AMI units. You obviously have had a chance to take a look at it. We were discussing how the trust actually may just sort of practically be the party that is paying the $500 fee on the front end to Housing Nantucket, and therefore ultimately they may need to be added as a party, a signatory to the agreement. But otherwise, there are no other changes that we've discussed thus far in the conversation to what you had looked at, unless you have something to add.
I don't. I looked at it on behalf of Richmond. I think as we've discussed previously, Tucker, I really look at this as Richmond's involvement is somewhat limited to the extent that we're consenting to certain enforcement rights, both on behalf of the town and the monitoring agent, to the extent that we're not keeping up with our promises with respect to keeping these units affordable in perpetuity. But really the bulk of the agreement is by and between, whichever town department is administering the program and Housing Nantucket as the monitoring agent. So as it affects us in terms of getting people qualified and registered for our program, I wanted to assist in facilitating this through to completion. But other than that, we don't have all that much of a substantive interest in the agreement. So I think we're all set.
Great.
Thank you.
Rima, you're on mute.
Sorry, my other screen came ahead in front. Would it be possible to have the 0.5% split between the buyer and the seller? To me, it seems more fair. I don't know why you're doing it just because in 40Bs this is normal procedure. But it just seems like a big hit.
The only complication that I see with that, Rima, is if we are lending the 0.5% in closing cost assistance, it is a loan and that the seller will be paying back when they sell, and the new buyer can apply for as a loan. So it could complicate the first seller who didn't get it, right? Because the first person going in is not paying it based on what we're talking about. It's a second turn sale. If I'm understanding correctly, Tucker.
Yeah, I mean, if it would help the board, we could have town council, confirm that this fee would be eligible for closing cost assistance, and therefore sort of know the situation that Dave was talking about earlier, could be addressed.
That's fine with me. I don't remember this. This is a loan. It does get paid back on the sale of the property. Okay.
Closing cost assistance will get paid back at 0% interest at the end of the ownership. So it would get paid back at some point. So
okay.
We're basically front.
Then it makes perfect sense, as long as it is part of closing costs.
Right, as long as we can qualify it within closing costs. So Tucker, the answer to the question is yes, please go back to town council and confirm that it can be. And can we make a motion assuming the answer, or do we want to wait and carry this over to the next meeting? Tucker?
Yeah, I'd like, if we can, to approve this agreement today, subject to any final revisions of town council, such as like the chair or vice chair could sign off on behalf of the trust. And I think if the answer from town council at the moment was no, it's not a eligible closing cost item, then that would be a change we'd want to make to our closing costs program, not this agreement necessarily.
With that explanation, is anybody comfortable making a motion?
Are we currently signatories on this? I thought you said it was select board.
I've mentioned that we're not presently listed as signatories, but if we're paying the 500, then we will need to be.
Got it. Thank you.
So both Rima and Brooke raised their hands. Either one of you want to make that? No, I see neither of you raising your hands. Okay, Brooke.
I'll take a stab at it. I move that we approve this, what's it called?
Monitoring agreement?
Monitoring agreement, subject to revisions by town council and inclusion of Nantucket Affordable Housing Trust as a signatory, and approve the expenditure of $500 per applicant under this agreement from the trust. And does that cover everything, Tucker?
And to authorize the chair or vice chair to sign on behalf of the board.
Okay, and authorize the chair or the vice chair to sign on behalf of the trust board.
I'll second.
Eleanor, did you get that? Okay, and we have a second from Penny. And by roll call, Allison Mitchell.
Rima has a question.
Dave, question on the motion?
Rima, I think, did.
Oh, thank you. Rima?
I thought we were going to include that town council confirm that the 0.5% would be included on the closing costs.
I think that's outside of the motion, but we're going to figure that out and determine whether we need to amend the closing cost assistance program to make sure. Yeah,
we'll do it that way. That's fine by me.
So on Brooke's original motion, without any friendly amendment, Allison Mitchell?
Aye.
Dave Iverson?
Aye.
Rima Sherry?
Aye.
Brooke Moore?
Aye.
Penny Dye?
Aye.
Christy Ferrantella?
Aye.
And Brian Sullivan, aye. Okay, thank you. Andrew, feel free to stay on the call or jump off. I think we're done with that aspect.
Thank you all. Appreciate all your assistance throughout this process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 8, Neighborhood First. We start with the RFI, which has made a lot of progress to this moment. So thank you to staff and everybody who's kind of carried that to where we are. Tucker, do you want to touch base on anything related to the RFI?
Sure, thank you. I just, first of all, congratulations to the board for getting this out there. It was published last Wednesday, August 12th. I will just go through a few dates for everyone's benefit as well as the public's. We are hosting a public information session on Thursday, August 27th at 5:30 p.m. That will be broadcast live on NCTV 18. It will be recorded and available on demand subsequent to the live event. And that is a terrific opportunity for anyone with any question at all that is considering putting in a proposal to ask about any aspect of the RFP, the process, anything goes. So again, that date is Thursday, August 27th at 5:30 p.m. Subsequent to that, folks still can ask questions, and on the RFI, it tells you exactly how to do that. You submit them by email. If you are a registered person of interest for the RFI, you will automatically receive any question that is asked and the answer. So folks following the public information session will have up until September 30th to ask additional questions. One needs to register no later than September 25th in order to be receiving all of the questions and answers and any amendments to the RFP. Finally, proposals are due on Thursday, October 22nd by 10 a.m. Proposals cannot be 1 minute late in order to be considered. And following the receipt of the proposals, they will be opened in accordance with procurement procedures at 1 p.m. that day. There will be a review committee that is established by the Chief Procurement Officer to go through these and make recommendations to this body. So that is some of the highlights. There was an ad circulated to you all recently in the last hour and a half or so that we are planning to run in the INM this week and next week, promoting the RFP, but in particular the public information session on August 27th. And if folks have had a chance to look at it, would be happy to take any comments that you have. Penny already has sent in a great suggestion in the title where we say that we're looking for homes. She had suggested perhaps saying, that we're looking for properties, which seems like a great edit. So any other comments, would be happy to take on that. But that is where we're at.
So if anybody hasn't had an opportunity to look at the ad, please, after the meeting, just shoot those along to Tucker. Rima, has there some commentary?
Yeah, I'm wondering if, Tucker, were you planning to send all of the trust members the questions and answers document as well, or make that available to us once? Because I think that would help all of us to see what people are concerned about.
Absolutely, we can do that. What I would suggest, because the Q&A ultimately gets handled by the procurement department. So what I would suggest is for each trust member to register through the procurement website. And I'll send a link to each of you. But if you register, then you actually will be getting the same experience as anyone from the public, which may be informative.
Penny?
Do we, I don't know who to direct this to, but if we sign up to participate in the public information session, do we have to worry about that constituting a meeting if there's a quorum?
It's a great question.
I can post it.
I think it'd be a good idea to do that just in case.
I mean, you're not
Absolutely.
making a determination or decisions, but I always do that if it's like something like that. So.
Thank you.
And Brooke, I saw
Thanks,
your
Penny.
hand go up and your head shake. I think it was the same thing or something new.
And in addition, where is the link for the application going? Will it be up on our page?
I think we need to, the application will be on procurement. We need to drive all traffic to them.
Yes,
So the link to that on our page?
we can do that.
Great.
So I think I touched base briefly with Tucker about the process in which we need to share that information. And so we have to share it all back to procurement, but this could become either a later conversation for communications on how we distribute the RFI more broadly aside from the newspaper, or do you want to tackle that now, Tucker?
In terms of like promoting on
Social media or individuals or the real estate businesses, how, like, do we?
Yeah, I mean, I think, sure, let's have a conversation. For sure, we want to make as broad an audience aware of this as possible. And as you pointed out, I think the basic tenet is that we always want to drive people to that procurement site in order to take a look at the RFP.
Any other questions on that or the public information? Tucker, will you share who's going to be sitting in that information as the panel so everybody knows who the resources would be?
Yeah, so the public information session is really about answering any questions that folks have about the RFP itself, about the process and so forth. And so it's kind of, call it technical advice or answering questions but we have slated to be part of that, actually Tobias Glidden, the original sponsor of the article, to just give a little, background and color as to the impetus for all of this. And then Brian Turbot, the Chief Procurement Officer, also the Finance Director, Andrew Vorse from a planning and zoning standpoint, Brian Sullivan as the head of the trust, and Ken Bogrand, myself, and town council. So it's really, again, to answer any questions folks I would have about the purpose and any questions they may have about procedure in filling out a proposal.
Which town council is it going to be?
Vicky Marsh.
Great. Excellent, thank you. If there's no more on the public information session, we touch base on the proposal due date. The only other item under the neighborhood first category is 135 and 137 Orange Street. Did you want to address kind of future plan moving forward there, Tucker, now or?
Just knowing that we have more ground to cover here and in executive session, there's not a great deal that we need to discuss right now.
So we'll close item number 8 and move on to 9, which is an FY22 budget discussion. Kind of catch everybody up on the spreadsheet and look to our request for CPC application for FY22. Tucker or Eleanor, do one of the two of you want to do a screen share and share the spreadsheet, or work from our own screens?
Eleanor.
Okay, so Tucker's a no.
Can you screen share that, Eleanor?
Yeah, she's working on it.
Yep. Thank
With
you.
2 monitors up, I can tell she's working on one and I'm moving to the other.
Can you, what page are we on? Is it 80 in the
Yeah.
packet? Thank you.
Where is my packet?
There was a link to it.
Do you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Do you need me to blow it up?
Personally, I lost my glasses, so yes, but I don't
Okay,
know.
I have to remove it from my screen so I can take minutes. So if you need me to do something, let me know, like change the page or something, and I'll, because it's a screen issue.
Okay.
Thanks.
Tucker, do you want to walk us through this for those who may not as be familiar with it as you are?
Sure. So starting at the top there, folks will see the sources of funding that the trust has received in recent years. They come from different buckets. The town sort of annual funding, if you will. There was a one-time $1 million bucket or contribution. CPC annual funding, the special $5 million bonding, obviously the Neighborhood First $20 million bonding authorization. We have placeholders in there for potential future ongoing revenue sources such as the short-term rental tax and housing bank or real estate transfer fee. And then finally, the Nantucket Cottage Hospital CHIP program at the far right. So these are the monies, again, going back as far as 2016, basically, there was a starting balance coming into it that the trust has been awarded or granted during the course of the last few years. So if we scroll down just a little bit, Eleanor, to have uses at the top, more or less. Oops, sorry. I guess you're gonna have to go back up to the prior page. That's fine, thanks. So when we get into the uses, you can see what is in black is money that has already been expended. What is in blue is effectively budgeted expenditures. So you can see starting in the far left column, there are allocations for consultants and legal under the Neighborhood First heading. Those are largely intended to be for the planning of what might happen at the Orange Street location. There is additional consulting, legal, other professional services expenses under the Town of Nantucket annual funding column, the third one over. One of those, so an example of one of those items is something else we're going to talk about today in terms of the HPP update. But again, these are budget numbers that we have looked at previously. We drop a little bit right there. You can see on the closing cost assistance what we have expended to date by area median income level, and what we either expect to or need to reserve for in this coming year or future years. So for example, if you look at the line that says to be expended 80% AMI plus 100% AMI, 195,000, thank you, Eleanor, under the CPC annual funding, we don't anticipate expending all of that this year. But if you go back up to the sources and you see 2020 ATM Article 32, there's $150,000. Well, that was appropriated specifically for that purpose. So as a placeholder, we have put it in into this line under uses. If we go to the next page, again, it's the same format, of course. Things in black are monies that are have been expended, and what is in blue is budgeted or expected to be expended. So you can see, for example, the recent Orange Street transactions, 135 and 137, precisely what came from Neighborhood First funding towards those acquisitions and what came from the CPC bonding toward those acquisitions. You'll see that there are several things of note planned for under both Neighborhood First and CPC. And we were invited to talk about the Neighborhood First program actually a couple weeks ago with the Finance Committee and reviewed these numbers with the Finance Committee at that time. But you'll see that we have a placeholder for something in a similar vein and of similar scale in terms of dollar figures to the Orange Street acquisitions reserved in the first line. You will see that we are reserving money in connection with 135 and 137 Orange Street if we were to need to subsidize what we end up creating there. So if we weren't going to seek, for example, tax credits to help subsidize the affordable housing we would like to do there, we would need to provide a local subsidy. And so we are thinking about, let's reserve those monies until we know more definitively how we are proceeding there. Then we have taken in the next two cases the average allocation that the Neighborhood First Advisory Committee had ascribed to strategy 1, which is the dispersed site purchases, which is really the intention of the RFP that we now have out, as well as the buy down strategy, or strategy number 2. So I think in the original Neighborhood First Advisory Committee evaluation chart, they had recommended roughly 10 to 30% of the Neighborhood First monies going towards this dispersed site purchases. So what you see there reflects a 20% reserve of those funds. And similarly, we had 10% allocated toward buy down, and therefore there is a reserve in respect to that. So if we go down to Habitat for Humanity and Housing Nantucket, again, you can see the things that we already have committed to or expended in black. But we had the opportunity to reach out to both Habitat and Housing Nantucket to understand what they anticipate their additional needs to be and objectives are during the period of, or I should say from now until the end of fiscal 22, which is the end of June 2022. And so what you see there is that Habitat, in addition to developing its Beachgrass Road duplex, which you all kindly funded, they are planning to build 3 additional units at Benjamin Drive, which they anticipate what they will need from us to complete is $975,000. There are some fairly significant infrastructure and utility costs in the $150,000 to $200,000 range, which they already have funds on hand to pay for. But this would really be around the construction of those additional units. Similarly, if we look at Housing Nantucket, you can see that they are planning to do a fall house move this year at where they would be moving a structure under 46 Orkawa. They're anticipating that expense to be in the $350,000 range. And they similarly would like to do a duplex unit on one of the lots they anticipate receiving from Richmond in a previously agreed to arrangement. Once the land court has taken some final action here, hopefully in the next month or two, it's been a very long process. But they are planning, once that land is legally available to them, to do a duplex unit. So they would be looking for funding of actually just over $1 million. So what we've done here is, at the bottom, you can see the net balance by the different buckets. And basically, I'm recommending with the Housing Nantucket project, or really whatever project of the Benjamin Drive or Housing Nantucket opportunities comes first, we want to clean up that $1 million allocation from the town from several years ago. That money, we have to go back to the select board anytime we want to spend $1 of that money. So this is a good opportunity to, let's say, empty that account and not have to be concerned with it going forward. Then with respect to the remainder of what is required, you can see that, we really have committed a good portion of the $5 million bonding from the CPC. We are here recommending that we allocate one of the units that Housing Nantucket is planning for to be funded out of the $5 million bonding. Housing Nantucket has confirmed it would adhere to the 100% AMI or less requirement. But without taking that all the way down to zero, we've brought that down quite a bit. So in order to meet the needs of what Habitat and Housing Nantucket are seeking to do, the net result from this is that we are recommending that we put in an application to the CPC for annual funding this year of $800,000 in order to help facilitate those projects. We are not recommending putting in an ask directly to the town this particular year, in part because if you look at the bucket annual funding for the town, we still have some meaningful resources there, approximately 688,000 if everything were spent according to plan. Obviously, COVID has turned things upside down in a number of different ways, and so we think that we can, we can get through fiscal 20 and 21 if we were to be awarded a grant on this order from the CPC. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
First, I'll say thank you, Tucker, for going through in so much detail. There's a lot of work in that sheet, so thank you. Does anybody have any questions out of the gate? Brooke?
Tucker, what's the logic of making the request this year instead of using up the rest of the $5 million bonding?
Well, partly that, you don't want to use all of your powder if you don't have to. There could be, for example, $346,000 is, I think it's about 5% of the subsidy reserve we have for 135 and 137 Orange. So if we ended up needing to do a bit more subsidy, we may be tapping into that. We don't necessarily want to spend that down to zero if we didn't absolutely have to. And so we looking at what the CPC services 3 areas: housing, preservation, and open space. Obviously, the CPC has done some significant work in open space in the new park on Old South Road in recent years. We're fortunate on Nantucket to have the land bank, which really looks after, if you will, a lot of the open space efforts on the island as well. Last year in the CPC cycle, there were a number of very deserving preservation projects that fortunately were able to receive good funding. If we look at the $800,000 ask, we feel that is a reasonable ask to be making. I mean, we'll see what the members of the CPC feel, but we feel comfortable making the ask.
Yeah, I think I was more anticipating the question from them.
Yeah, I mean, we could spend it down to zero, but then, something unanticipated comes up. We don't want to be caught in a tough place. I mean, this isn't, I don't know if this is like the best example, but I'm sure some of you have followed in the last 24 hours that the hostel over near Surfside Beach is being sold by the entity that owns it. And there's a great deal of interest in seeing, like, well, golly, is there some kind of community purpose or town purpose that building could go to, rather than perhaps becoming, going to the highest bidder and becoming a private home. And so, part of the issue with being able to respond to situations like this, again, I'm not saying this is, perfectly akin, but part of the issue with being able to respond to things that come up like that is you got to have some resources around.
So, Tucker, is there an agreement that is clear that the Housing Nantucket and Habitat will be requesting their funding through us and not double applying to the CPC?
Absolutely, yeah. Everyone is, we're all working together, and the requests are coming through here.
Okay, great. Rima?
Yeah, given that the relationship has changed and essentially we're acting as the housing arm for the CPC, I think this is appropriate. Thank you for doing all the work on this, because this is great. This is the clearest and most forward-thinking budget that we've had since I've been on the trust. So I really want to congratulate you guys on that. My question is, Tucker, will you be writing the grant?
So I am happy to be putting together the grant so long as I can turn to an esteemed member of this board with outstanding experience in that regard, with initials RS for guidance.
Sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Love to work with you on this as assistants.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Cool.
Awesome. Christy?
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Tucker and the rest of the board. I was on the Neighborhood First Advisory Committee last year and really got to see the plan of how we are going to stay in Safe Harbor, and having that concrete plan is so vital to the town. And now seeing a budget that backs up that plan and keeps that forward thinking and making sure that we're in line, it's strategic to the select board and to our community. And so I just wanted to thank all of you guys. I know it hasn't always been this easy, or seems easy, coming in this late. I feel lucky to be a part of it now. So thank you.
Big
Thank you.
kudos to you, Tucker. Ken, Eleanor, thank you.
Yes, as a Michigan graduate, I must always quote Coach Bo Schembechler whenever possible. It's all about the team, the team, the team.
Excellent. So do you need a motion to move forward the application, or you can move that forward and then bring it back to us for a final approval, or how do you?
So we're not going to have the opportunity to meet, or at least unless we wanted to have a special meeting. We won't meet before the CPC application is due. So if the board is comfortable making a motion, kind of designating Rima and I to lead that effort with a request for 800, unless you would like to meet again, happy to do that and have you review the final thing, whatever your pleasure.
Any conversation on that? Otherwise,
I'm happy to help too, Tucker. I've done some CPC grant stuff, so I'm happy to just be a secretarial, ministerial, blah, blah person.
Well, you would add a lot of value. Thank you, Eleanor.
Brooke?
So I'm happy to move that we authorize Tucker and Rima to complete the final grant application to the CPC with a request for $800,000.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
So a second from Christy, Eleanor, and vote by roll. Allison Mitchell?
Aye.
Dave Iverson?
Aye.
Rima Sherry?
Aye.
Brooke Moore?
Aye.
Penny Dye?
Aye.
And Christy Ferrantella?
Aye.
And Brian Sullivan? Aye. Yes, Tucker?
Sorry, a bird whispered in my ear. Can we just clarify that that request is for the purposes as outlined in the budget?
Eleanor, can you make that edit to the friendly amendment to the?
Yes,
So
the motion would read, Brookmore motions to authorize Tucker and Rima to complete the application to the CPC with a request for $800,000 for the purposes outlined in the budget.
Great. Thank you.
As presented. I'll add that. Presented by Tucker.
That's what I said, right?
That
Now
is
it
what
is.
you said. That's what I heard.
This is like Penny's executive. Let me go.
Housing production plan proposal. So.
Yes. So as you all are familiar, we had sent out a scope of what we were looking to do in terms of updating our housing production plan. Our current plan runs until October of next year. So we need to have it updated and approved by DHCD in advance of that date. And we had sent out this scope of work to, actually, we are only required to send it out to 3, but we sent it out to 5 different qualified consultants to see who may be interested in putting in a proposal. What we ended up getting back was a single proposal from a combined proposal, if you will, from 2 of those 5. Not taking anything away from any of the other folks that we reached out to, but you know, I would say that we have a proposal from 2 of the most highly qualified people, if not the most qualified people in the state, in what we have received back.
And that's Judy Barrett and Laura. Is it Laura?
Jen Goldson.
Judy and Jen Goldson.
Yep.
How do you spell Goldson?
It Goldson.
It's probably on the document. I'll look. Thank you.
And I think there's 3 board members and Tucker who had previously worked with Judy on the last HPP that are still here. Does the rest of the group have any questions based on our experience working with them or with Jen about the process or what we intend to kind of work through to get to here? Penny?
Yeah, I'll just add that I was interviewed by her for a perspective from, I guess, the real estate perspective, and she is all business in a good way.
Agreed. Agreed. You can get to the point. We went through a long kind of strategic planning process the last time where, from my personal perspective, the dynamic of the board, the things we've accomplished, and where we've come since we started that process with her is pretty dramatic. To be very clear, I hope that the process is not as lengthy as we went through with her originally, in the sense it was the off season. We had weather scheduling issues to plan our meetings, etc. I'm hopeful in this Zoom environment, we find a way to be more efficient with getting through the process. Tucker?
Yeah, just a couple, I totally agree with that, Brian. I think so. A couple different things. One, if the board decides to move forward with this proposal today, the next step would be to take what they've proposed and have the procurement department turn it into an actual contract with them. I would advocate with the procurement department that they are heavily incentivized to meet the date, of May 1st for final delivery. And I too am hopeful, like you, Brian, that the Zoom environment might actually make things easier than the last go round in terms of staying on track and on time. I think it's a huge plus that Jen Goldson, she was minorly involved in the last update, but she is, I think more of an equal partner, if you will, in this effort. She is excellent at visual communications. So I'm quite excited about what we might get as a product out of all of this. And Judy, as Penny said, is excellent. She, what she did produce last time got approved by DHCD without one change, which is rather unusual. So she knows exactly what it takes to get something approved. The thing I think I should point out is that the last time we did this, which was, 4 years ago or so, it cost us roughly $25,000. So we're talking about, a noticeable uptick here in the pricing. I don't know if there's any aspect that we want to go back to them about, and I would need to actually check with Brian Turbot about, sort of the legalities of how you do that once they put this in, if folks wanted to even question the number. But I just wanted to mention what it cost last time.
Excuse me for half a second. Rima, Rima had her hand up previously.
Okay. Yeah, I was really impressed with the proposal. There's a lot more in here than the original. And the fact that Jen and Judith would be working together. You can mute Brian if you don't want to have him yelling in the background.
Sorry, somebody came to my door.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so I really don't have a problem with the doubling of the price if they're going to include, all these components that we really kind of maybe glossed over in the last one. This seems a lot more comprehensive and a lot more exciting. And we have so much more direction now that I think there's more meat for them to work with than they did originally. So I'm all for it.
Penny, did you get a chance while I was away from the screen?
No, I just had a quick comment. There should be an efficiency here, just given the fact that she did the last housing production plan. I mean, she knows Nantucket, and she's starting at a good point. What is the how often is this done? Every 5 years? Mm-hmm. Requirement
Yes.
of DHCD requires it? State?
Well, sort of one and the same, but they require that you have a housing production plan. I will say that probably 80% of towns don't have one that is approved. However, one of the biggest incentives of having one, like when we talk about safe harbor, if you don't have one, in our case, it would mean we need 49 units in a year. If you do have one, it's 24.
Yep, thank you.
Brooke, I saw you.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the parts they included about communications and outreach to the community on our initiatives. I think that is going to be, that's something that we all have talked about as a priority, and how we go about doing it has been a bit of a struggle. So I think the fact that it's included in this process is a bonus.
Yeah, I just hope that we have the opportunity to kind of like reuse, recreate, redeploy the visuals and those communications that go in the packet. So I think that whether it's, do we need rights to files once they're created to be able to do that or not? Is that a conversation that you can have with Jen once she creates it, that we can be redeploying the information again and again?
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments or thoughts or questions on the proposal? So being the one proposal that we have, so I think we're probably looking for a motion to move this to the procurement office to generate a agreeable contract to send off to the group. Tucker, is that correct? Penny?
I'll make the motion that we approve this proposal to send it off to the procurement office in order to execute an acceptable contract.
Second.
There's a second from Rima, Eleanor. By roll call, Allison Mitchell.
Aye.
Dave Iverson.
Aye.
Rima Sherry.
Aye.
Brooke Moore.
Aye.
Penny Dye.
Aye.
Christy Ferrantella.
Aye.
And Brian Sullivan. Aye. Thank you for that. And Communications Committee report. Brooke, Rima, Tucker, does any one of you want to touch? Rima?
Yeah, I've been in touch with Florencia. She has resurfaced, and I've sent her bare bones start of a logo that, and my description of a vision for it. And she is getting sketches together. And I'm going to go through our list of components for the webpage that we voted on that last meeting and generate, get her all the links that go with that. And I guess I'll need the RFI procurement link and the info link as well to add to that. And we'll start putting this together. The one thing is to get a banner photo, we'd have to get that ourselves. And I had mentioned to the group earlier in this process that I thought a drone shot of, went out of my head, the neighborhood where my son lives.
Satcham's Path.
Satcham's Path.
Satcham's, thank you. A drone shot of Satcham's might be a nice photo to have on the site. So does anyone know of a reasonable drone photographer, and should we think about just getting that done?
Dan LeMaitre might have that.
Yeah.
I can get in touch with him if you want, unless someone else wants to. I just bought a surfboard from him for my kids, so I have his cell phone. I could get in touch with him. Just a question: do we have that wonderful video that Tucker and you all made that was shown at the housing forum last year? Is it
We
up
have
on the
that.
website? It's so great. I love that. I hope that's up there.
Yeah, that would be, it wasn't generated by us, but it might be a nice link to
It's just so inspirational. I love it.
it is.
I think we need a picture of Ruth.
Yeah, I was just thinking she
yeah.
would love that.
Yeah.
She would love it.
Yeah, Eleanor, if you could get in touch with that photographer and maybe find out how much it would cost to do that, so we could approve it, or if we want to approve up to a certain amount today, maybe that would move things along.
Hey, do you have any guidelines for him, like a minute or something? He may ask that sort of a question.
I think Rima's looking for a still photo, not a video. I think it's a banner photo.
Yeah, just a banner photo.
Still drone photo. Okay.
So it would be a wide layout, kind
Panorama.
of on the
Yeah.
perspective. Yes, Penny?
Just two things. We could always crop something to make it the right dimensions. But what about Renee at the Housing Authority or Anne? They may have such a thing from when the property was finished, or Housing Assistance Corp.
I think those are worthwhile reach outs to see if something's pre-existing.
I'll ask Renee if you want.
Great.
And Anne.
So how about we authorize an expense? I mean, I think putting up a drone is somewhere in the neighborhood of $300, I think.
I know a good person who can do it. High school kid.
Typically. So, I mean, do we want to, does that falls within Tucker's standing authority
Yeah.
for expenditures? So I don't think we need to put a dollar amount on it, but to say that, that we approve that expenditure.
Is that a motion, Brooke?
Yeah, that's a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Penny by roll call. Allison Mitchell,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Rima Sherry,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
Penny Dye,
Aye.
Christy Ferrantella,
Aye.
and Brian Sullivan, aye. So the one thing within this communications window that I'd like to continue and talk about is the distribution of the information for the RFI and the information session. And I think it's critical we figure out kind of ways to get this to critical players and make sure we put it in front of them. So is there a way that we can get the ad to the chamber, the Rotary group, and they share it with their distribution list? I'm happy to work with NARAB unless my other broker partner wants to share that with me, share that ad. But can we get it? is there a standard of language we should be using for Facebook, or should we have Florencia publish it in a manner that it then can be shared by individuals? Maybe that's the best way to go about it, to make sure that we're really getting that information everywhere. Yes, Christy?
I would also share it with the Civic League so they can share it with all their neighborhood associations.
Allison?
And this is just sort of a silly side point, but anything that's shareable, maybe we can make the links in the ad live clicks so that it's a very easy, those links are not easy to remember in print, so.
So,
Sully, it's Ken.
Yes, Ken.
Suggest you get in touch with Laura Burnett at ACK FM because of the fact that this is a community service announcement.
ACK FM is a good one. My experience is also Man About Town and.
But they run both.
Yeah, those are great opportunities.
Yeah.
Allison?
And Daybreak.
And Daybreak, yes. So do we, I guess, how do we make sure that the Civic League, ACK FM, and Florencia get this distributed in a way for us, in addition to the newspaper?
Well, Civic League is great about sending things via email. So if we send an email that they can forward, that goes out to, everybody pretty quickly.
Penny?
I think.
Yeah, can we ask Florencia just to do a standard email and then each of us can distribute it like to NAREB or Rotary, just so it's consistent?
You could ask her to put this on the news. I've done this with other things with her. I'm sure Tucker knows about this, and probably you do too. She has the breaking news thing, and you have to subscribe, but at the very least, like I subscribe, I could get it and forward it to you, and it has embedded in the internet.
Great.
Tucker, do you have a list of kind of the things we've covered and work with Florencia? Go ahead. You're on mute.
Sorry, I wrote them all down, and yes. So I think what we want to do, I like what Penny was saying there in terms of like a consistent presentation of things. I'm not sure technically, like the INM created the ad that we're going to be running. I'm not sure technically how they view like using that somewhere else. So I'm just going to have Florencia create our own sort of version of it.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I think the bigger concern is people manipulating the language and making sure the language is correct for procurement. So let's have her do the one.
Yeah, our ad is not the procurement language ad, and Brian Turbot knows that. But anyway, we will make sure Florencia is great at this. I mean, we'll make sure that the hyperlinks that Allison was mentioning are in there as well.
And then, so that'll just get out to everybody. If there's an expense associated with either Daybreak or
Radio,
Man About Town, or anyone else, I think that's again within Tucker's purview, but is that an item we should look for approval for? Can I have a motion to? Yes, Brooke.
Go ahead, Rima.
Oh, I was going to make a motion that we authorize Tucker to expend whatever funds necessary, under $1,000 to get this out to various town groups and media outlets for the RFI and the information session.
Thank you. In a second?
Second.
From Penny. Alice, Tucker,
Brian,
on the conversation?
Yeah, just to clarify here, like that INM ads alone are a little over 2,000. Like, so.
Yeah, you'll need more.
I would say this it would be in addition to the INM, but and let's just put it at 5. I don't know.
5,000?
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Second.
So Penny seconded the adjustment to the number from 1,000 to 5,000 if need be. Tucker, any continued statement or any conversation on the motion?
No, I mean, I don't know what Daybreak charges or Man About Town, but
They're not that much.
yeah, great.
You can get a bundle, which is better if they do it on the multiple platforms.
By roll call, Allison Mitchell,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Rima Sherry,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
Penny Dye,
I
Christy Ferrantella,
Aye.
Brian Sullivan. Aye. Okay.
could I
Yes,
ask one?
Penny.
Yeah, I just have one more question, and this may have been covered. I'm just sort of anticipating things. We have to be super clear about in this program about broker involvement and whether there is any or not. Because I can see people saying, well, I have a broker, right? I mean, this is supposed to be between sellers and the town, no brokers. And I think we need to clarify that at some point.
I think that the seller could pay the broker to fill out all their paperwork and do all their thing. And if they choose to pay their broker to do it for them,
Okay.
they could, right? Like,
But the town is not paying any brokerage representation. I just think we need to be super clear.
I think that's a good call.
Just because I know how brokers think.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, she's got two of them here and she's right.
Well, so,
Rima?
so if it's agency, then the seller is responsible for the agent. That's the representation is
Right.
strictly to the seller.
That's right. If it even comes up. But I could see certain brokers informing people about the program and then expecting to be involved in an agency relationship for which they'd expect compensation.
Yeah. Up to this time, as I've observed the town, they represent themselves on their side of the transaction if there is a fee.
We just need to be ready to address it when it comes up.
Right. Tucker?
So it would be helpful, actually, Penny, if you wanted to kind of put, maybe there's several questions in that vein down with what you think is the appropriate answer, and we can be sure to include them from the
Yep.
get-go in the public information session.
I can do that.
Thank you.
And
Yes,
Tucker,
Rima?
through you, Chairman, Tucker, if you could sort of confirm a good time with Florencia. I had sent out an email and that's sort of a little bit dead in the water. So maybe,
Yeah,
a poke from you might help.
Okay.
Dave?
Through you, Chair, so Rima, I saw she responded, but is she still kind of like difficult to get hold of and pinned down? Is this worth, I mean, it just seems very frustrating.
No, she responded. She apologized that my
I saw the
first
email, yeah.
and she said that she received the what I sent her and that she was going to have some sketches put together. So it sounds like she's on it, and it's her job. So
yeah, cool.
I think that we'll just.
No, I'm not trying to.
Yeah, I don't feel frustrated at
good.
this point,
Okay.
and I think
If
that
you need help, I deal with Florencia a lot with 5 different websites. She's very responsive. Maybe because I work for the town, I don't know. But if you need help, just CC me on
Listen,
something and I can follow up.
we all fumble occasionally, so I just
Yeah, she's definitely overwhelmed.
I'm hoping
Yeah, I'm sure.
to meet with her on hoping to meet with her either tomorrow afternoon or Thursday or Friday. I mean, I sent her my availability and haven't heard back, but that's just from yesterday, so it could be there.
Good.
Okay. Any more from communications? Seeing none, I think we can close that. Look to other business, next meeting of September 15th. Anybody, I may likely have a conflict then. My wife's due date is September 12th, so could be within any minute there, so I may not be attending next meeting.
No way, you're having another baby?
Having a baby. Baby
Ooh.
girl due September 12th.
Yay, I have a Virgo. Good luck.
Hey, what are you saying? I am a Virgo. Stop.
That would be cool.
I guess that
Exactly.
rests your case.
What's your
Yeah.
birthday, Dave?
The first.
Oh, you're a Leo Virgo.
Yeah.
That makes more
whatever.
sense.
I'm not even gonna ask.
Tucker, do we have any public comment?
I do not see any members of the public.
Denise was here. Did she leave?
Yeah, Denise said she was just gonna be here for part.
Any board comments? So it's 2:42. Do we take a 3-minute break and jump back into executive session? So I'll be looking, Allison.
Sorry, I have to go get my kids, so I can't be in executive session. I'm sorry.
I think we'll still maintain enough members to make it through. So I'll be looking for a motion.
I'll do it, because guess what? It's right
Yeah,
here.
you got it there. Awesome.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the regular meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund for the purpose of going into executive session, not to return to the regular meeting, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property where an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body.
Is there a second?
Second.
That's second by Christy. Roll call. Allison Mitchell.
Aye.
Dave Iverson.
Hi.
Rena Sherry.
Aye.
Brooke Moore.
Aye.
Penny Dye.
Aye.
Christy Ferrantella.
Aye.
And Brian Sullivan. I think everybody has the link. We'll regroup in 2.5 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.